this content is for kids.
It's not for kids.
Isn't that what I said?
No, it's not for kids. If you are 13 years or younger, this is not for you. Do I have to kill somebody in order to actually make that point across?
No, man, you don't have to kill no one.
Wait a second.
No.
When we return to our planet, the High Court may well sentence you to torture.
He likes movies, we like movies. SeptumSin versus the world. SeptumSin versus the world. SeptumSin versus the world. SeptumSin versus the world. I'd buy that for $1.
Greetings! You're watching SeptumSin versus the World. I'm SeptumSin. This is Kotobuki Jake, and we're here to show you what we got.
Yeah.
Cha-cha-cha.
Stuff.
So
Things.
we got some fun stuff this time. I'm going to end with something fun.
Hopefully.
Jake and I both got something that's even more fun because it involves a couple of people that I know and one that you know even more personally than I do. And that is this one here. We can show it on 3 here. 1, 2, 3.
Dun, 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 dun.
So,
Okay.
not too long ago.
Yeah.
Horror.
Yep.
And I'll start off, and then you can finish us off on this one.
Okay.
A big part of it, I love like little horror anthologies, so I probably would look at this anyway. I wonder if this has any relation to Faces of Death, because Dane also had a short in that one.
You would know better than I would.
Matter of fact, I want that one because it has several people I know in it. It has Kyle in it. It has Dane in it. It has Cool Dude in it, though I don't really know him. And it has Dane and Light and Shadow, who was one of our big fans for a while. So that was cool to actually have him in there too. But this one is even more special because it has you in it. So tell us about your experience doing that.
Yes. So, for better or for worse, this marks my first entry on an Internet Movie Database, my first official credit. Yay! Although it's actually the third movie I've been part of, but both of the others were uncredited roles. But yes, our friend Dane did he did sort of an anthology within an anthology, several different scenes. I don't know how, I haven't gotten to watch it, so I don't know if they're all put together like this or not, but his were individual scenes and mine was fully individual. And basically he gave me the outline, I filmed something and sent it to him, and it's interesting. I had a bit of fun with it, but I have to admit I'm kind of dreading watching the overall package. I don't know, but I felt like I had to have it. But like he said, I like supporting independent work. I like letting them know that, keep at it, and even if it's not my cup of tea, there'll be weirdos like him that love it. So
I'm debating doing a tryout for that one film that one of our independent people is doing.
Right. So, but anyway.
No, I will start us off after.
Okay, because that kind of was round 1. So for round de dos, I have an interesting assortment, and I think I'm going to go in rising level of importance to me. This one was bought completely on a whim because it is rare and out of print, and the one and only movie written by, directed by, and produced by one of the stars of Goonies, Carrie Lee Green. And when we watched Goonies, it got me looking into other people's other projects, and this one just stood out to me as, sure, I'll give it a go. And that is a movie called Belly Fruit. And I know very little about this except that it's a drama about teen pregnancy. That's really all I know. But like I said, the idea that it was written, directed by, and produced by this one person who never directed or wrote anything else and didn't have much acting after Goonies, but she was so fun in the movie. I was like, yeah, I got to give that a look. And I feel like there were Michael Pena's in this. I didn't know that. Okay, now it's worth having just for Michael Pena because he is awesome. Yeah, so there we go.
No, part of the fun of collecting anything is having some of those little things that are in the collection that other people might not even know about.
Right.
Or that you just discover and you go, that's
actually, I guarantee you most of the ones I'm presenting, most people have never heard of. But there will be a couple of major exceptions.
There is maybe, let's see here. I think there are 2, maybe 3 that people have not heard of in this list. Well, or if you count faces of, So this one, a couple people might have heard of them a while ago. This one has a couple of awards to its name. But one in particular got me to collect it. And actually it has 3 in particular that got me to collect it. Winner of 3 Academy Award. It's including the Best Picture of 1930. Now, without looking it up, can you tell me what that was?
Best Picture of 1930?
Yep.
Oh, I should know this.
It's a Western.
Was it Cimarron?
Yes.
Ah, right.
You know, I've had this actually in the collection for so long. I've just never gotten to it.
I need to get to that myself.
So now I'm moving at a pretty good pace because we're doing big chunks. So it's finally getting down to the C's. I still had to make sure I pulled to get some anime. So I actually pulled an anime like out of order so I could have one in there. But yeah, this was, I still need to see it. I mean, 1930, it's a slight bit ago. A little bit before I was born. But they packaged this with classic cartoon Redheaded Baby and vintage musical short The Devil's Cabaret. So some fun stuff that might be interesting to look at as well. So this is kind of cool. I picked this up at a Barnes and Nobles a while back. It was like a couple bucks. It was one of those that was just in their throwaway bin. You know the ones that I'm talking about when they have like classic movies, this stuff. It's the only time you kind of pick up some stuff that you might not pick up elsewhere.
Right.
Relatively cheap, which is cheap and Noble don't tend to go well together.
Not always. But of course, we're coming ever closer to the vaunted Criterion sale. But anyway, so anyway, my next one has an Oscar connection too, and I hate to say it, but I can't remember if this one won, but I don't think it did. But I know it was nominated for Best Documentary Feature. And actually, both this one and the next one I got from the same vendor that offered Belly Fruit. I told you guys about this. It's a vendor I found on eBay that has some really off-the-wall stuff. Yeah. They've got some really off-the-wall stuff. And I'll be honest, I don't know for sure that either of these needed to be gotten on DVD because I feel like they have Blu-ray options. Well, but they're both, the Blu-ray would be so rare. I was like, whatever. So I went ahead and got them on DVD. But this was a documentary that was, like I said, an Oscar-nominated documentary that I did see that I thought was really excellent. And it's a film called Cartel Land. And that was, it says here, from exec producer Catherine Bigelow, but also, I don't remember the director, Matthew. I Can't read that. But basically, this is a there you go, Matthew Heineman. It's about modern day vigilante groups and their shared enemy, the murderous Mexican drug cartels.
Oh.
And it basically takes place in Michoacan. And you've got, there's one in Michoacan and one in Arizona's Altar Valley. And so you have a Mexican doctor and an American veteran in their respective groups. Really well done. You saw this one, didn't you?
Maybe.
We see so much come Oscar time, but I know this was a really, really good movie, and I felt like it was a must-get. A very informative film, but also very entertaining in its way. You know, in the way documentaries are entertaining.
I do not remember. But that doesn't mean anything. You know, speaking of Oscar season, you know, it's interesting is Disney is skipping the theaters entirely with Soul and going to do it on Disney Plus, but not the $30 Disney Plus thing. Not like the pro-China government movie. It was I'm curious, will the Oscars take an exception to some of their rules this year? Because so many films, because if they have to do it, like there might be like films that run in this little theater that they'll have like in the back where like 5 people in the theater or something, just so they can say, okay, these films do it. But to me,
they'll
I think
probably do that.
I've gotten to the point where I think to myself, is theatrical release really a necessity these days with the advent of streaming and all that when it comes to these awards? There's so many straight-to-video ones that are not that bad these days.
They're not that bad, but, you know, I feel like you could probably still, the revenues they need to pay for some of these films, they probably still need theaters for that. But,
I don't know. I mean, some of them are making it up pretty well with streaming, which is saying something. I mean, Mulan did really well here. Not so well in China, but China.
But that's not a good case for what I'm saying, because that was a film that was in the can when this whole thing happened. I'm talking about like going forward. It's going to be tricky.
It'll be a discussion definitely having for another day. I mean, right now, some theaters are opening, like Cinebistro's opening up.
Are they?
Yes. But would I go?
I know Regal's indefinitely closed.
I'm not sure I'd want to be in a closed room with a bunch of people. I'm
not sure either.
It's just, I don't know. But
it might still be worth going to Fathom anime events because no one ever goes to those.
I admit, if I would have had no chance of catching anything when I saw Vicky Cristina Barcelona in theaters, because that was the only one.
I would have had trouble because the theater was full of old people. But anyway.
So this is one I like steelbooks, but I really wanted the regular edition because it was all sparkly and cool. But the regular edition, 1, cost more than the steelbook, and 2 was harder to get. So we're talking about the 25th anniversary edition of Clueless.
Oh, so you got it.
I don't like this cover.
Yeah, it's weird.
It kind of fits, but I wanted the sparkly one because it looks more with the movie.
And sparkles and plaid don't go together. So
I am interested in, because I never actually had this. So when I found out it was coming out, it was on my list. And then they sold this for like less than $10 at Best Buy.
When was it less than 10?
Oh, it wasn't long after it came out.
I saw it for 14. I didn't see it below that. But anyway.
Because I remember seeing it for that when I was walking through, and then me saying, "Ooh,
may have been a 1-week deal."
I wonder if the regular edition is that cheap. It was, but it was sold out. So I said, "Okay, it's less than $10. I can do this." You know how it is. Sometimes they will do that. They will sell stuff for weird prices. Sometimes. And they're phasing out almost all their physical media now. They've phased out all but one row now for physical media, and they've said that they are not all that interested in selling physical media except for online in the future.
At Best Buy.
At Best Buy. You go to Best Buy now and you look at their media section, it should only have like one aisle. Not video game, but like, these things.
That's dramatically different from the last time I was there. They had a lot more than one aisle.
When were you last there?
About a month ago.
Yeah. So, but they've been reducing. I mean, you can actually see videos on YouTube where people have gone to Best Buy all over, and they've been doing this. I haven't been to ours since.
Yeah.
Maybe they've kept those aisles more on our side. But they've been reducing them all over the country.
Yeah, it sucks.
But only a matter of time if it hasn't hit ours yet.
Yeah, it sucks. So anyway, my next one is another one that, again, I think there's a Blu-ray edition for this, but I think it was only ever released in Australia and New Zealand. I don't know that there's an American Blu-ray, and if there is, it's rare as can be. And the DVD itself is out of print from what I can tell. But this one is a documentary, or as they call them, mockumentaries. And it's a truly delightful one from the creators of the Flight of the Conchords, Taika Waititi and Jermaine Clement. And it's called What We Do in the Shadows.
That's a good one.
It was a good one. And there's apparently a new series out based on this that I still need to see. Apparently Mark Hamill showed up on it. But this is the old school, the original movie. I feel like this was Waititi's first film. They co-directed the film as a follow-up, I think, to Conchords. And then Waititi, of course, went on to do Thor Ragnarok, Hunt for the Wilder People, and some other great stuff. This is just a fun movie. It's a mockumentary about vampire life in modern times. And it's basically this flat in New Zealand with a bunch of vampires and their trials and tribulations as they go through their day-to-day lives. It's pretty hilarious. So this one is a good one. I'm sure that if the group hasn't already discussed this, this will be one we'll have to do eventually.
Well, indeed. So, of course, there's crazy, and then there's Nicolas Cage crazy. So,
you could just say Nicolas Cage. The rest of it's redundant.
Yeah, true. I have heard about this movie for a while, and again, I found it fairly cheap. I want to say at Best Buy, because I feel like I got this at Best Buy at one of their 4K racks. And that is the color, what was it? Color Out of Space.
Oh, I need to see that.
I've heard it's fun. I think Dustin liked it and said that was good.
Dave rave about it too.
Yeah, so a lot of people like this. I mean, it's a Lovecraftian tale. So it kind of has a vibe like the Tommyknockers or something. So I might have to check it out in the future. I mean, it's 4K, so I'll be checking it out down here. Has a nice little cover. You can see like, ooh, sparkly.
Yeah.
I like the sparkly. But, it's not got a lot of stuff for special features, but it is a cool looking thing. And, I mean, when you hear stuff like that and you find it for a decent price, it's not a bad thing to get.
Right. No doubt.
I mean, you've had that, right? You know, you see something, you think, I don't know whether I want to see this or not. But then you see it and somebody's offered it for, like, really cheap.
Yeah.
And you're like, well, might be an investment that pays off. I probably could get $5 for it if I don't like it. And then you keep it.
Right. Yeah. I mean, again, both of these are way out of print and they could go up in value, Well, I mean, this isn't really out of print. It's just a super low print run. So who knows? They could go up in value. Yeah. So anyway, actually, most of what I got is stuff that theoretically could go up in value, although some of it more so than others. And I've been presenting new stuff so far, but this one was used. I had an eBay win, and I went to the seller and I was like, I see some other good stuff. Can you hold on a couple days while I bid on them? They were like, fine. So I did. And I actually ended up, this is interesting. I got one item from them from each of three, what's the word I'm looking for? Boutique vendors, if you will, and that we've talked much about on this channel. This one is, and Movies Galore for that matter, this one is a used copy of a DVD Blu-ray combo pack from Shout Factory, which is somewhat unusual for them. And it's a movie that I'm not familiar with, but I saw the cast, and like you said, I saw the price because it was cheap. I was like, I gotta give it a try. And that's a movie called The Eagle Has Landed. And look at that cast: Michael Caine, Donald Sutherland, and Robert Duvall. I mean, that right there. And it's a John Sturges film. You've also got Donald Pleasance, Anthony Quayle, some other folks, Treat Williams, and Larry Hagman. I mean, that's a hell of a cast. And even with shipping, this was like $4.50 for a Shout release. I'm like, that has to be done. And I'm looking forward to that. It could be fun. It looks like one of your old school, World War II action adventure kind of shoot 'em up kind of movies. Kind of in the same vein as Dirty Dozen or Kelly's Heroes or whatever. I don't know if that's really what it's like, but we'll find out.
Well, yeah, we got some pretty cool stuff actually also coming out. There was a Shout Select that I saw that I said Jacob would want this.
I'm sure.
Adaptation. Adaptation is getting a Shout Select. Really.
Yeah, I saw that. I do want, but I just upgraded. I just got it from Dane on Blu-ray, so it's like,
yeah. I still got mine on DVD, so it's more of a potential.
Yeah.
The Haunting is one I really want as well, which is upgrading. So speaking of ones from Inside Movies Galore, I actually said, you know what? We covered that. We covered two of Bakshi's lineup.
Yeah.
So I said, you know what? This is one I have debated whether I'm going to get this or not, because this seems like. But then again, it looks like something that could be eventually gotten rid of just because it looks insensitive. And that is coonskin.
I can't imagine how anyone would say that.
I don't know why anybody would have any problem with this whatsoever.
Like, is that Barry White, like Barry White singer?
Yes.
And Scatman Crothers? Okay, that is a fun cast.
So it looks interesting. I will have to eventually see it, but I might hold off and see if it will cover it eventually because it might be there. I've seen this floating around as well, so I picked this up for about $5, but I've not seen any IMDb credits saying that there's a sequel or anything like that. So I am going to have to see if this is actually a legit type thing.
Right.
This sequel, but I figure if there is a sequel that is indeed out there, it's better to have it because you never know, And so having these together kind of is cool to have. Just have it in the collection and maybe never watch it. It might be like Birth of a Nation. I just have it so it's there and just
Right.
I mean, you ever had like something that you got in the collection and you kept it in the collection because you felt like it might be good to have it so that you have a piece of history? Okay. Maybe.
Actually, I do have my own unwatched copy of Birth of the Nation too. Who knows when that'll be watched? Probably never. But it's hardly a priority.
What you told me when you did see some of it, it was not just a bad watch; it was a boring watch. So
for the most part, yeah.
So
I saw a good portion of it, and it's kind of dull.
And I've got a Blu-ray.
A movie that was not dull, but you'd probably say it was because I know Italian puts you to sleep. is a movie that actually was, from what I can tell, I think this is a recent release from Arrow Academy. And as we've mentioned before, both on this channel and Inside Movies Galore, Delusions of Grandeur, take your pick, there's been a lot of discussion lately of Arrow, largely revolving around that Gamera set, but also just in general. And as I mentioned, I think the only thing I had by Arrow, I think, was the Japanese film Okuribito, or Departures. So I've probably doubled the size of my Arrow collection, which is kind of sad. But this is also a film that, much like Departures and much like Birth of a Nation, frankly, a serious collector should have it on the shelf.
Mm-hmm.
And this is an Italian film from the late 80s that we may cover one day. It would be worthwhile covering. And a bonus collector edition, no doubt, of a movie called Cinema Paradiso.
Oh.
Which actually, I have this since way back when, but I've upgraded to Blu-ray. But again, you're talking about for the right price. I could not believe the price this was at. I mean, with shipping, and this person was charging a lot for shipping, it still came to something like, I think it was $9, $8.
Oh, that's an awesome price for that.
Yeah, it is. And it's got, look at all those special features. It's half of the back.
Arrow is kind of like Criterion in the way that they treat their stuff.
Well, especially the Arrow Academy is sort of their Criterion branch. But this is a really, really, really good film. I have seen it. It's been a while. But it's one of those films about the love of cinema, which when done well, of course, film lovers love them.
Well,
but what's that?
You talked about, here we go. You talked about like Italian cinema puts me to sleep. That film is proof that Italian cinema alone does not put me to sleep, because I love cinema. I like that movie.
Okay.
I really enjoyed it. So,
right.
Actually, the only Italian film I fell asleep at was Il Postino, which I guess I could try again. But it was, I don't know, something about it just felt
right.
But good pickup. It's an awesome film. Well worth having. Any cinema lover should have that in their collection.
Right.
Even if it's just the DVD, they should have.
And this is actually spec'd on the back as Region A, which is rare for Arrow. But that's kind of
They
cool.
have an American branch.
Yeah. Right.
So, we're talking about a couple of films that people might not have heard of.
Mm-hmm.
I like the A-Team. and one guy, Mr. T, he didn't act in a ton of stuff. But I said, when I saw this, I was like, ooh, this is $3. I gotta get it. And this is the movie DC Cab.
I think I have heard of that.
Which, I mean, it's cool to have something with Mr. T in it that's not like Rocky 3 or Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs, things that are just like...
Best character in that movie.
Oh, yeah.
A chest hair for tingling.
It's just kind of cool to see it. He's like the main guy in this. And so I am curious about it. I've not heard much other than seeing his face on it go, I should check that. I should just check that one out. So let's see. What does it say here? Washington, D.C. becomes the district of comedy in this high-speed hit from writer-director Joel Schumacher. Nostalgia Critic, despite what people, some people say about hating him, he actually did a kind of tribute to Schumacher, saying, we chide him for a lot of his stuff, Batman and Robin, but, he has done some amazing pieces. And he said, like, his second favorite film from him was Lost Boys, for instance. And I'm like, yeah, he did do that. Yeah.
Yeah.
He was gushing all over that one, which was a good one for that. So he can do some pretty darn good work. He's done good work in the past. So let's see. So when young Albert Hawkenberry wants to become a cabbie, he's got the wackiest teacher around, courtesy of his Uncle Howard and freewheeling DC cab company, including Samson, Mr. T, and Dell, Gary Busey. There you go. There's a cast.
Wait. You're learning how to do your job from Mr. T and Gary Busey.
Yes.
Be very afraid.
If anything, that just makes me want to see that, hearing that. I mean, come on. That cast alone is actually going, what?
Yep. Pity the fool. All right, my turn.
Yep.
So, we touched briefly on the Criterion Collection sale that's coming up. I got a little bit of a head start. This was the one that triggered this particular, pickup. They had a few Criterion items on sale, most of which I did not win. But one I did win. It's a very famous foreign film that I want to say... I'm reasonably certain it was an Oscar nominee. I can't remember if it won. But it's a film from 1969 that I believe it was a Soviet film. But it's filmed in Armenian, Azerbaijani, and Georgian. So that's the rough region that takes place in. It's a film. It's what?
So a Southern film.
Yeah. So it's a film by Sergei Parajanov, and it's called The Color of Pomegranates.
Ah.
And this one also has, it's pretty hefty bit of special features. It's pretty impressive there. But this is, like I said, anytime I can pick up Criterion for less than the sale price, I am happy to do so. I think this one, with shipping was like $16, so it wasn't a huge cut, but it was still, like I said, if they charged less for the shipping, it would have been a pretty awesome swoop overall. But it was, even so, this was less than the usual Barnes & Noble price, and it's brand new, And this is one that was on my radar, if only because I know the title, and I know that it's a very highly acclaimed Soviet film. And again, how many films can your average movie collector claim to have that's filmed in Armenian, Azerbaijani, and Georgian? That's kind of, I always like to get variety when I can. I like to reach out and get new and different stuff. And this is supposed to be a really good movie, so I look forward to it one day.
One of these days.
Yeah, one of these days.
So, back in the day, there was somebody I talked to, and she was big into anime, and she loved this series. She talked it up constantly. So when I finally saw it on sale on Right Stuff, I was like, I recognize that. All right. And that is the series Zombie Loan.
I've heard of that.
It is a decent series. It's basically this girl, I believe, dies and then gets resurrected and ends up being put into this kind of zombie for hire group that does these extreme, like, suicide cases. Well, not Suicide Squad type cases.
Yeah.
So it's an interesting series. I enjoyed it. I mean, it's nothing that I would go say that's my favorite, but it's not a bad series. This is a pretty, this is a discotheque / Eastern Star one. It's kind of just, it's the series. You're buying it to get the series. And it does have some fun to it. So, to me, you could do worse, especially during this time of year. This is a nice one.
Right. Good times.
Right.
So, another one that it brings up very, very powerful feelings with some people, and other people probably look at you and go, well, I guess I just missed it. Is a movie that honestly, and I hate to say this, I don't think I actually have. I know I have the sequel, but I don't know that I actually had the original. And when I found it at Walmart, I think $5 for the Blu-ray, I was like, I got to do that. It must happen. So I got The Never-Ending Story.
Good one.
Nice bit of 80s nostalgia here. And again, I'm sure we'll get to this one on Movies Galore pretty soon. We seem to be hitting every movie from the 80s. But it's a good movie. It's a lot of fun, and I haven't seen it in years, but I will probably enjoy it. It's kind of in that same vibe for a lot of people that Goonies was, and I think, wasn't it about the same year, actually, or pretty close to it? It says 84 here, so it may be slightly older. And like I said, I have the second one as well, and I think that copy is still unwatched, but of course it's DVD, but what's that?
It was in that genre of fantasy films back in the day.
Mm-hmm.
I've got, I think, all three of them on DVD, and I always watched the first one. I watched the second one, which I thought was okay. I've watched the third one. It's a piece of crap.
Okay. All right. Good to know.
Though, I wouldn't mind having them as like a basic set to combine and keep them together.
Mm-hmm.
So, tonight is Monday, technically, even though you're seeing this on Wednesday.
Yeah.
But around this time Wednesday, I am at work.
Mm-hmm.
But later tonight, as in Monday, we are doing a dedication for a particular reason. And that reason will be revealed at the end of my pickups.
Mm-hmm.
But tonight we are covering some Friday the 13th fan films.
Mm-hmm.
One in particular that I wanted to cover, but several people wanted to add more to it. But the one I wanted to cover was one that I helped put in for, and I've got a poster buried back there under the control. But that is Friday the 13th, Vengeance.
Mm-hmm.
This is a fan film. This is more than a fan film, but, you know, it's a pretty cool film.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure whether I would call it Friday the 13th Vengeance or Vengeance. On the title card, it says Friday the 13th Vengeance, I think, when they open it. But it doesn't say that on here. It just says Vengeance on the cover.
The IMDb also listed as Vengeance.
So, you know, this one was one I helped kickstart. And we were talking years ago. It started off as a fan film called Mythos. And I got 2 cards, and I think if you keep collecting them, they form a picture. So I guess if I had gotten like a whole bunch of them, I could have tried to get all the cards together, and they could form like the full picture, or maybe a whole bunch of us owners could get together and like put it together or something. I got like Ashley Jarvis, which is the daughter of Tommy Jarvis on the movies, and of course the titular Jason Voorhees, who gets very brutal in this one. I think this has got to be one of the highest body counts of any of the movies.
And they don't scrimp on it.
But here you've got like the features. I mean, they even do pretty good on the disc art, which is cool. And they have a decent number of special features. I watched the sound is not so good on the special features, but it's kind of cool learning a little bit about the film. And it's just a fun one. I enjoyed this one. I think this one nailed it. It felt like a real entry in the series. Yeah. When you actually start watching all of these movies, you'll understand what I'm saying.
Yeah. All right. Good times. And yes, definitely check out that discussion. I'm sure it will be fun. And do you want to show your last one and then I present and then you present, or should I just go on ahead and save your big reveal?
I'll just save it for the last because
Okay.
I've got an unboxing.
So, okay, so I'm going to tip my hand, or tip his hat slightly if he didn't already do so. So, we'll be covering Friday the 13th for some time now. And I, as a result, have been gifted a very large collection here. This is Friday the 13th From Crystal Lake to Manhattan, Ultimate Edition DVD collection, which has parts 1 through 8, apparently. That's quite a lot of movies there. And you've got Friday the 13th Part 2, which I already own those, so that's an upgrade of sorts, more like a slimming down. Okay, that's something else.
They got the special features on there.
Yeah, we got Part 3 and the final chapter. We got Part 5, A New Beginning, and Part 6, Jason Lives. Part 7, The New Blood, and Part 8, Jason Takes Manhattan.
Maybe the other
And
one where
sadly,
Jason comes to
yeah,
town.
yeah. Sadly, High School Musical 4, Jason Goes to Town is not included. Friday the 13th Killer Extras. So that's set numero uno. But wait, there's more. Jason Goes to Hell. Because where else would he go? Jason X. Freddy versus Jason, and this one's a little bit tore up, but whatever. It could be worse. The one Blu-ray entry. And Friday the 13th, The Killer Cut. I've seen the first 2 movies. They're perfectly decent slasher films. The first one has Kevin Bacon in it. That's all I have to say about that. But I did enjoy Vengeance. So, you
Now
can...
you have an excuse to watch all of them.
Now I will have to watch all of them. We'll be spending way too much time on this series.
The reason why, of course, I helped him along with that, and that's because we're going to be doing a major project for Halloween this year, which is we are covering all of the Friday the 13th films. It'll go into November, but we're going to get there 2 movies at a time.
It's
And
probably going to go past November, isn't it?
well, let's see here. Oh yeah, that's true. We got a lot to cover. It'll be into Christmas time. We'll be thankful that we have Jason this year.
So are we going to take a break for Kino, or are we going to do that at the end? Hell.
Oh, we'll take a break for Kino.
Okay, cool.
So we are going to. So the reason for this being triggered is Shout Factory or Screen Factory, depending on how you want to nail it, released one of these. Now, they did one for Halloween, just like. So when I heard this was coming out, unlike Halloween, which I had to get in after it had all sold out, but thanks to Dustin, I managed to find one for a good price. This one I managed to get as it released, which is good. This is less than what I paid for the Halloween set. And I've got 2 posters, but I'm not going to show those until I've got them ready to mount on the walls. But one thing I am going to do is I'm going to do an unboxing right here, right now. What are you staring at, Kat?
And I'll admit, that is an impressive looking set. And if I loved the series the way these silly people did, I would have jumped on it. But I thought about it way too late. With both that one and Gamera, I held off because I didn't have that attachment. And I thought about it way too late. I could have gotten both of them for about what I paid for Trinity Soul.
As you can see, there's the stuff. This thing here is kind of loose-ish. It comes with various special features. Also, they added in some extra gore effects to the second film. So you're probably in the luck right there. So let's take a look at these. Ooh, that new Blu-ray smell. So we've got, of course, the original, right? Which has some really cool stuff on here. We've got the uncut version, which, by the way, there was another Blu-ray release that had all these films together, which is a rare thing, by the way, because the later films are held with different rights, which is why he's got that other set that has the first 8, but then the others are separate because the others are different companies. So, but this one has the uncut. That set does not. Also, these have reversible covers. But you got these here. So you've got your Blu-rays with your special features and your cut and uncut versions. And this is the reversible cover. So that's pretty cool. You know, Jason really had a reason to hate teenagers. I mean, they were making out while he was drowning. And so, you know, he's got a good reason to hate on them. But, you know, I mean, as they do, you know. So the second one, which really introduced Jason as Jason instead of as another character, is also pretty darn cool. These two are my favorites of the series. This is the one that they found an old tape, like an old like videotape, and they were able to restore some of the lost material too. So that's kind of cool. And we'll talk on that a little bit during the show. That's something that Jake won't be able to technically get a look at, but from what I've heard, it's gory material, so you probably are happy with that. And then we have part 3, the 3D one, which debuted Jason's mask and machete that we all know for. So this Jason version of Jason did not appear until the 3rd movie. Now, there's supposed to be, there is a 3D cut on here that you could play. So, in theory, you could watch it in 3D. I don't know whether you have to have 3D glasses for it. I'll have to look and see. Or whether, 3D TV for it, or whether you can just watch it with 3D glasses. That I'm not sure. I like that cover, though. That's kind of cool. But I'm just going to keep the poster covers on the outs. Because the posters are really imaginative. I told you, this is why I saved it for the end. Then we've got part 4, which was the final chapter.
Yeah.
Oh, the series ended right here.
Yeah.
So again, Jason supposedly dies at the end of this. Now, I kind of feel like that's more of a lazy cover there.
Yeah.
Still, kind of cool. All right. And then Jason comes back for part 5, A New Beginning. This is where you have Tommy Jarvis, I believe, in this. I like this one a lot. Some people don't like it because technically it's very different, but I do like it. It kind of brings you back to the first one. And some people don't like the first one for probably the same reason they don't like this one. But still pretty darn good. Then you've got part 6, Killer Be Killed, where you get to see Jason alive again. This is where they really start pulling the supernatural angle. You're probably thinking, well, didn't they have supernatural angles before? Well, theoretically, because it's kind of weird that he keeps coming back, but this was really more on that supernatural angle at that point. You got kids with powers and psychic powers and all that stuff. It's kind of a weird thing there. Then you've got Part 7, The New Blood. That really just doubles down on psychic powers and magic and all that stuff. You gotta love that. That's kind of cool.
Mm-hmm.
And I want to say Vengeance follows Part 6. Part 8 is Jason Takes Manhattan. Now this one's kind of cool in a lot of ways, but it takes place for the most part on a freaking boat. Yeah. Not exactly the best in the world.
I like how he got that throwaway comment in Vengeance.
Yeah.
There's sightings even in Manhattan. or New York or whatever.
Yeah, and it's because it was so expensive. They only were able to film it in the just the last part there. He was traveling over there for the most part. So then we have Jason Goes to Hell, everybody's least favorite in the series. I don't know. I mean, you know, I'm not gonna hate on it. I didn't like this one much either, tell you the truth. But I have to watch it again because he's become this weird slug thing that possesses people. One of my favorites and the most guilty pleasure of all of them is Jason X. Because you got Cyber Jason on a space station killing people.
Oh, jeez.
I mean, that's just, to me, that it's good and trashy, but it's a nice, like, just basic. It doesn't pretend to be anything it's not. It's just a straight out slasher film. It's just great fun. It really is. Then we've got Freddy versus Jason, slightly different edge cover. And people have been waiting for that fight for a long time. So it looks like almost like a Wolverine versus on the cover.
Yeah.
Jason versus Wolverine. All right. Then we have the killer cut. Almost all of these except for Freddy versus Jason are upgrades for me, as you could tell. And my version of Freddy versus Jason looks cooler, but I want to say that the last films, for the most part, are the same as the regular Blu-ray releases. They didn't do a lot to it. Then you've got your bonus materials, which is pretty darn cool. New interviews with the composers, Return to Crystal Lake, a whole bunch of fun stuff. And of course it's 2 discs, also having a cover right there. And finally, we have the book. There's a lot of notes. So there's a lot to dig into here. It's going to be a fun couple of months.
That's one word for it.
So I hope you've enjoyed this. Of course, if you do like this material, click that like button, hit that subscribe, and share. And tell us what you picked up. Did you get this Friday the 13th box? Did you take advantage and get somebody else's old Blu-ray set? Because those were pretty cool. It was a cool set. It was in 10. And it was thinner than this, had all the same movies. It only had the theatrical releases and not the uncut. I want to say that one that you have there has the uncuts, but I can't be sure. So it's going to be some fun. But we'll see you on the next one. Goodbye.